Welcome to our humble abode. See what I did there? Okay, but seriously, welcome to Prism. Prism is a Hans Christian 33T. She is a cutter rig, and we have been asked multiple times to do a tour of our boat. So here she is. We're gonna go ahead and start with the outside because we cleaned her today, and she'll probably won't look this good until the next time we get fresh water. So, starting at the bow, we have a Muir windlass Cougar edition, and this is where we bring up the anchor. We have 300 feet of chain with a spade anchor. We have our newly acquired dive compressor, which has made our lives wonderful because now we get to dive whenever we want and fill tanks and make friends because people love people who have dive compressors. Moving more towards the foredeck, we have an awesome open foredeck spot on this boat. For a 33-foot boat, it doesn't get much better than this. This is, I mean, we play cards out here, we put shades up, we have dinner, we have cocktails, we have like 6 or 7 people up here. It's wonderful. And when underway, Falcor goes upside down right here, and we keep things under Falcor to keep it safe and dry. Magic. Port side now. We have sissy bars. I don't actually know the technical term. John has informed me that the technical term for these is mast pulpits. And the other side is great. We don't really get to use this side because we keep deck junk in said box. But the other side is great for when you're underway because you get to lock yourself in between the mast and the mast pulpit so you don't fly everywhere when changing or hoisting sails. We decided to go with a stack pack on Prism. She originally came with a original sail cover, but we found that on our first boat after making a stack pack, it was so much easier. Yes, there's a little windage, but it's wonderful. On the mast, we have self-tailing winches. There's 3 of them, and 2 of them are 2 speeds. We have a track up front for the whisker pull, and we also have a track on the other side of the mast for a trysail for storm conditions. We installed mast steps for making going aloft a lot easier. You'll see people using the mast climbers or couples hoisting up their partners with a winch, and it's extremely tiring. So when John goes aloft, because I don't, it scares me. Maybe someday, maybe I'll get the nerves. He basically gets to climb up, and I just keep the safety line around a winch, and when he gets to wherever it is that he needs to go, I tie him off and he's good to go. And as he comes back down, he pushes them back in. And the great thing about these folding steps is that the halyards don't get stuck on them like the traditional triangle ones that you see on a lot of boats. They're a little more expensive, but they're very nice to use. Prism was originally made with encapsulated chain plates, and there has never been a report of a chain plate failing on a Hans Christian 33, but these boats are getting old and there's really no way to test them. So before we crossed the Tehuantepec and or an ocean, we wanted to put external chain plates on. So we did that this summer, and you can find more about that on our blog. We've got great handrails on Prism, easy to go up and down the deck when underway, and really tall stanchions so that you can't fall overboard. Except for John, because he's 6'4", and really there isn't a boat that's tall enough for him. Being on a 33-foot boat, a lot of the stuff that you see out here does live out here full time. There's just really no room for it down below. We normally keep about 2 or 3 sails out here for sail changes, so we don't have to go down below, look for the sail we need. So we pretty much always keep the spinnaker, the drifter, and our Genoa out at all times to make sail changing just a little easier. Ventilation. It is like so incredibly important, especially as we're getting into hotter areas. On this boat, we tend to have very good ventilation down below, not only because of the butterfly hatches, which allow a lot of air in. We have all opening ports, 4 on each side, and then the cowls. So another great thing about cowls is that it is ventilation when those rainy tropical storm squalls come through and everyone else is closing all their hatches and then is dying of heat down below. Cowls. Wind is still funneling through and letting you breathe. Our handy dandy Dodger. We have a hard top, soft bottom Dodger. Before we went with these rigid panels, we had a flexible panel, so I was able to walk on this to get to the inside of the boom before, and that was really great. But unfortunately that solar panel died, and now we have these, which is fine because we still have solar. Okay, making our way back into the cockpit. So we do not have the best cockpit for entertaining, we have learned that, but she is wonderful for underway. We take no green water while sailing in this cockpit. The previous owners, or maybe the original owner, added the best add-in thing in the world. These side rail seats are great. And if you need to do a direct deposit, it's kind of like a toilet. 2 years ago, we added the cockpit shower, which is also a great addition to any boat if you're going anywhere. Lift it up, take it out, shower, put it back in. Voila. We have power to charge our devices while we're out here navigating at nighttime. We have two 80-watt solar panels off the back that are butterflied off so that we can direct them towards the sun when needed to. We have outdoor speakers so that we can jam while at the helm or entertaining. The very aft of our boat, we have the push pit. It has our wind vane, which is a Fleming Major. Our handy dandy bronze pole holder that has actually cost us a pole or two. We won't get into that. We have our outboard hoist. Oh, that's a tongueful. And we have our stern anchor with about 200 feet of road and 15 feet of chain, 20 feet of chain-ish, with a fortress anchor. If you're looking at this, you're probably wondering, what are those two balls in the red bag? They are just drying coconuts so that when the time comes to keep the mosquitoes and our no-see-ums away, we can burn the husks. Originally on the Hans Christian 33s, the propane locker was extremely small, so we could only fit about a 1-gallon pony tank in there, and you had to keep the other one elsewhere and swap it out. It was really a pain in the butt. So we went with a much larger propane tank that lives on the back of our push pit. Where I'm standing is the original locker for the propane. As you can tell, it was very small, and to get a tank to fit in there, custom made, was going to cost us a fortune. So we have turned this into a quick snorkel grab locker. In later versions of the Hans Christian 33s, they made this locker bigger so you could fit 2 regular sized tanks in there. The companionway. This is by far the biggest companionway we've ever seen on a boat. At least a 33-foot boat. It is massive. The doors actually close like doors, which is really nice, rather than the slat boards that most people have to take in and out. We do have a spot for that to put storm boards in if we need to. This is the catch-all, and it really is a catch-all. It's probably the best and worst thing that we've ever bought for this boat because it's handy. Example A, it has caught all, and yet it is kind of sad looking because example A, it has caught all. So we just let that be. We have temperature and speed here. We have our chart plotter here in radar screen. It's 1 by 1, and our depth here. All in all, a great companionway area. And coming down below in our massive companionway, we have to the port my galley, which I feel like I spend about 90% of my time in, and I absolutely love this galley. I've got a very deep pantry here, which I keep most of my baking goods in. I keep all my spices here. We've got our gear hammocks there stuffed with snacks and vegetables. I have a double sink that are very deep. I love them. We do most of our dishes with salt water and then a fresh water rinse. So we have about 120 gallons of fresh water on board, and we don't really go through it at all because we take saltwater showers and we do our dishes with salt water and just do fresh water rinses. Now when you're looking at this galley, note that all of the storage goes either back towards the hull or down towards the keel. So this pantry of mine goes all the way down, which is, you know, half my body. So it's actually, when I have to get something from the bottom of it, I do actually have to like hoist myself up and like my feet stick up so I can get down there. It's quite the view. I have a wonderful big icebox fridge. It is top loading and side loading, which is awesome. So we have easy access to drinks down below, and I can have all my vegetables and everything else up top so it doesn't get smushed by drinks. It's awesome. The original 2-burner stove. I absolutely love this stove. It has a broiler in the oven, which is so cool because I get to make, you know, awesome garlic bread and toasty stuff on top. Yum. Underneath the sink is full storage as well. We have a full-size trash can, storage, pots and pans. It's all there. John's favorite part about this galley is this port light here. The screen pops out, and our #1 used pan in the galley, my cast iron, fits right through this. And if he doesn't like my meal, he just throws it overboard. Nah, I'm just kidding. Across from our galley, we have our engine controls and dials. We have our gas, battery monitors, our radio, autopilot, engine, RPMs, temperature, and hours, and also our fire buoy. Underneath our companionway steps is our engine. It breaks apart into 2 pieces that are easy to move, so we have great access to our engine. And each step has storage underneath, which is awesome, as you can see. All right, so enough with the galley. I spend most of my time in this area anyways, so let's go forward. So this is the aft cabin, aka Sean's room. As you can tell, it has quite a big berth in it. And luckily for us, underneath that berth is all storage. We have our hot water tank in there, as well as the deep storage for miscellaneous heavy objects that maybe we'll need someday down the line. When it's not being used as an aft cabin and or Sean's room, we keep sails and camera gear and bags, stuff that we don't really need to get to that often, way in the back. It is very spacious. I will show. Very comfortable when underway and in rough weather. And if we're motoring, like when we were in the Pacific Northwest, it's actually very warm in here, which is nice. We keep our instruments in here as well, which is located on this back wall. And for anybody who is staying with us, they have their own closet, shelf space. Since nobody is right now, it's just got random stuff in it, like the sheets that go for this bed. Lots of saltine crackers and some soda that I actually forgot we had. Funny. Has lots of ventilation. There's a vent and 2 windows. So all around a great aft cabin. So not only is there the hanging locker and shelf space, but there's also a very big shelf back here for miscellaneous stuff. And when people are not here, we use it for paddleboard storage, where the pumps go and the paddles and the battens for mine go in here as well. It's just a nice spot for miscellaneous stuff. We also keep our PDFs and a hanging hammock right here for quick grabs when we're getting ready to do a night passage and or heavier weather. And now to the most embarrassing part of Prism. It was like this when we bought her, and we still haven't done anything about it. And because it's behind closed doors, we tend to forget that it's like this. And every time we come in, we were like, we should probably build something to cover, you know, loose wires. But we haven't yet. It's on the to-do list. Maybe someday. Okay, midship. We have our L-shaped dinette, which is awesome. It's not the full U-shaped dinette that I really wanted in a boat, but it is a great compromise. The table does not fold down. It is solid. It is very strong. It is wonderful. And I've got full storage underneath for all my pots and pans. And it is a great platform for dominoes. Many domino games have been played on this here table. We can also have about 6 to 8 people eating dinner on Prism with this table and setup. So we have a lot of fun with the world map being right underneath us for all our meals. It's a great addition that we've added, that we actually got the idea from another Hans Christian, 38, Horizon, and they had the world map on their table, and it was definitely worth it for us to copy them. So thank you, Horizon. Another great thing about this dinette is everything is storage. Underneath me is all storage. John's tools are kept here, boat documents, and more camera gear. And behind us there is the liquor cabinet, bag storage, and there's nothing behind this. But there is so much storage, it is amazing. To the starboard side, we have our settee, which is nice and long. It is long enough to sleep on. In rough seas, we tend to take this cushion down and put it on the ground, and John and I will sleep there. Obviously one at a time, there's not enough room for two. Behind our settee, we have more storage that fold down. We keep a lot of the necessary tools that we use a lot behind these. And this side, the other side, I use as storage for drinks and our food. So we have all of that there. And underneath is my canned good area, which I love because, you know, boaters say that they have enough food on board for a year or so. And I think if, yes, you rationed it completely, there could be enough food for a year. But then again, John eats enough for 4, so we probably have enough for a half a year. On most boats, this area is made for tanks. Luckily on our boat, all of our tanks are fiberglass into the keel, so that gives us room for all of the stuff we have on board, especially for a 33-foot boat. The Nav Station. This is where we pretty much can control everything on Prism. We have our distribution panel here, which allows us to turn on and off all of the electronics we have on board. We also have our 2 radios that we use to communicate with other boats. We have our VHF, which is for short distance communications, and our SSB, which is for long distance communication. Here we have our solid fuel burning fireplace. It has kept us very nice, toasty warm, especially when we were in the Pacific Northwest. Haven't really used it much in Mexico except for one night, but it's there, so if we are ever in colder climates again, we can stay warm. So when we were looking to buy our second boat, aka Prism, I said I refuse to sleep in a V-berth again. And so we searched for a boat that had a Pullman berth, and here she is. The Pullman berth is a queen-size bed, and we love it. It's so comfortable. It's wonderful. And underneath it is all storage. There's no tanks underneath this. This is where John keeps his welder that he's never used, and all of the power tools that we have to use when we're on the hard, and the resins and the paints and the this and the that. We have extra lines. We have extra, and then some more extra lines. We keep most of our handy dandy tools in here as well, electrical fittings and stuff like that. We keep all of our sheets and bedding and towels in this one, along with some more tools that are just kind of in there. And these drawers are for our clothes, the his and hers, right? This is also where we have our medicine cabinet, which is located right behind my head. As much as I love the medicine cabinet, it does force John to sleep on the inside of the bed, as it reduces the 6'4" space that he needs to sleep because he's so tall. But, you know, you win some and you lose some. Coming more forward to my starboard, we have a giant hanging locker, which is wonderful because we actually have more clothes on board than we probably should as cruisers. But it has room for all of it. And they open up, which when at anchor can be hard because they swing. But as you can see, there is a lot of room. The thing I love most about the Hans Christian 33s, you don't have to look at the toilet. You can leave the door open and not be staring at a white head all day. There she is. She looks like you would never know. And the stall shower. I love the stall shower. We have used this stall shower while underway. What's also really awesome is if you don't want to use the water, the pressure water, you can hang a solar shower from the hatch and just shower in here so you're not showering up on deck for a little bit more privacy if you want it. Even though 90% of the time it acts as either the laundry bin and or sail storage. And even more forward of the head, the anchor locker, which also has a bin full of empty 2 liters to make ginger beer with, so you can ignore that. It's a very nice big locker. We love it. And if we haven't been to shore in a while and we're building up on trash, we tend to keep our trash in there so it doesn't stink up the rest of the boat. The head also has its own hanging locker. This is a very deep hanging locker, as you can tell my arm disappears all the way and I can barely touch the back wall back there. So for the 33-foot boat, there's so much storage. It is incredible. Well, there she is. She isn't perfect, but she is our home. We absolutely love Prism and everything about her, and we really hope you enjoyed this. Cheers.